of what is adding fractions with unlike denominators compared to adding rational expressions with unlike denominators. So basically, when you guys look at this, again, you guys can see we have two fractions here, and they do not have the same denominators. So again, what we're going to want to do is first thing is identify the LCD. Okay? Now, again, as I mentioned, the easiest way to form the LCD is to multiply your two denominators. However, I will caution you that's not always going to be the case. All right? However, when you have two denominators that are in simplified form, that more than likely is always going to be the case unless they're already in the same. But so basically what I would do here, since it's not very apparent on what they share, the common denominator that they're both going to share is going to be their product, which would be x plus 1 times x minus 8. So the LCD is simply their product, just like the LCD was 21, 3 times 7. Okay? Again, it's not always going to be that case, but very often it will.
Hello, are you ready to learn for today? This is case number 3. So, ibig sabihin, natapos mo na yung case number 1 at case number 2 ng lesson na ito. At dito sa video na to, magsosolve tayo ng rational equation that can be transformed into a quadratic form. So, bago mo rin mag-umpisa yung video na to, nakita mo na, nag-recall na tayo gamit yung isang part ng video ng pagkuha ng least common denominator ng isang rational expression. So, gagamitin natin siya sa lesson na to. So, let's proceed to example number 1 wherein we will solve a rational equation. And from your lesson on grade 8, and ito rin yung steps na susundin natin to solve for this rational equation. So, we have 6 steps. So, huwag mo nang pansin itong box na to, mamaya pa yan sa last step. But, as we start, we have a given 2 plus 1, 2 over y plus 1 plus 1 over y minus 1 is equal to 1. So, let's start with the first step. Determine which of the values of the variable are not permissible in the expression. These are the values of y that will make our denominator equal to 0. So, ito kasi yung mga restriction. So, bawal daw maging 0 yung denominator or magiging itsura niya is 2 over 0, which will make our whole equation undefined kapag yan yung nangyari. So, kailangan natin mahanap yung restriction. So, ano yung mga restriction na yun? Yun yung mga values ni y na magpapa-0. So, para malaman natin, equate natin si y plus 1, equal natin sa 0. Then, we get the value of y. 1. So, subtract 1 for both sides. So, y is equal to negative 1. So, bawal maging negative 1. Bakit? Negative 1 plus 1 will make the equation as the denominator equal to 0. So, yan yung una nating restriction. Next, ito din. So, bawal to maging 1 over 0. So, equate din natin si y minus 1 kay 0 plus 1 for both sides. So, y should not be equal to positive 1. Ayan. So, dalawa yung restriction natin. Negative 1 tsaka positive 1. Because if it is 1 minus 1, this denominator will be equal to 0. At bakit nga ba kailangan natin malaman yung restrictions na to? Kasi, mamaya kapag nag-checking tayo, baka lumabas na tong values na negative 1 tsaka positive 1, which will make this two values an extraneous solution. Pag sinabi mong extraneous, ito yung mga values na na-solve natin or nakuha natin upon solving rational equation. Pero since hindi sila magsasatisfy sa ating equation, hindi sila solution. Yun yung tinatawag nating extraneous solution. Yan. So, isa na rin yan sa way para makuha yung mga yon. Yan. Mamaya, meron pang isa. Next, so, that's step number 1. Step number 2 says, determine the least common denominator of all rational expressions. So, we have two rational expression here. 2 over y plus 1 and 1 over y minus 1. So, from that, ang sabi dun sa video, pag ganito daw yung case ng ating rational expression, multiply mo lang yung dalawang denominator to get the LCD. So, yun lang muna yung mga ways ng pagkuha natin ng LCD kasi ganito lang naman yung mga types of example na ma-encounter natin for this lesson. So, we have y plus 1 times y minus 1. So, that will become your least common denominator of this given rational equation. So that's step number 2. Then step number 3, ang sabi dyan, multiply both sides of the equation by the least common denominator or the LCD. So, ang gagawin natin dyan, we have to copy each of them while we multiply all of the terms or the given terms from left and right of the equation to the LCD. So, ganito yan. 2 over y plus 1. So, we multiply this with the LCD. So, sulat ko na rin dito. Times y plus 1. Yan, multiplication yan times y minus 1. So, that's the first term. Second, we'll copy once again plus 1 over y minus 1. So, we multiply this also with the LCD, which is y plus 1 times y minus 1. Yan. So, multiply lang natin sila lahat. Yan. Tanggal natin to para hindi na ito. So, next, we continue with the equation. So, we have here equals to 1 or equal to 1. Then, we have to multiply also this one to y plus 1 and y minus 1. Yan. So, to finish multiplying, we can still simplify some of this. So, we can reduce or cancel this following equation. Yan. So, pag minultiply natin to, we can divide y plus 1 over y plus 1. This will just be both equal to 1. This one naman is y minus 1 over y minus 1 will just be equal to 1. Yan. So, yun yung mga simplify natin. So that, as you can see, yung denominator natin magiging 1 na lang. So, kahit hindi na natin isulat yung denominator niyan. So, as we finish simplifying them or multiplying them, we'll be having 2. Ito na lang yung natira sa kanya. So, 2 times, ano yung natira dito? Aside from 1, we have y minus 1. So, y minus 1. Then, plus. Copy lang natin yung plus dito. Then, 1 times y plus 1. So, sulat natin 1 times y plus 1 is equal to, ito we'll have to copy, 1 times y plus 1 times y minus 1. Then, we furtherly multiply this one so we can have FOIL and distribution property. So, ito distribute natin. Ito distribute natin. Ito, magpo-FOIL tayo. So, FOIL yan. Yan. So, simplify na natin. So, we have 2y minus 2. So, yan. 2 times y is 2y. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Plus, y times 1 is y. So, y plus 1. So, parang kinopya lang natin. Next, we have to do FOIL. So, we have y squared. Y times y. Then, y times negative 1 is minus y. Then, 1 times y is plus y. Then, 1 times negative 1 is minus 1. And that's how we multiply or we do the step 3 of this solving rational equation. Next, step 4, simplify the equation by expressing it to quadratic form. So, simplify pa daw natin yung equation natin, then gagawa tayo ng quadratic form. So, paano natin gagawin yun? So, this is step number 4. And so, step number 4, ayusin natin to. So, combine natin yung like terms. So, 2y tsaka y, pwede natin combine them. So, we can have 3y. Then, ito naman is negative 2 plus 1. So, we'll be having minus 1. Kasi negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1 is equal to, yan. So, I think we can just subtract negative y plus y. And this will just be equal to 0. So, we'll just be having y squared minus 1. Yan. So, ang gagawin ko dito, para maging itsura niya ay quadratic form. So, since y squared na yung nandun sa right side, ililipat ko na lang lahat ng part ng equation from the left going to the right. So, paano natin gagawin yon? Gamit tayo ng addition property of equality. Yan, subtract natin si 3y dito para matanggal tong 3y. Then, dito naman, add natin 1. So, gagawin din natin siya dito. So, we have minus 3y plus 1. So, we'll try to equate them. We'll try to solve for them. So, mangyayari, this one will be equal to 0. Ito magiging 0. And, yan, suddenly, this will also be equal to 0. Then, we rewrite the equation. So, we will be having 0 is equal to y squared minus 3y. And since we'll be having reflexive property of equality, pwede natin itong i-rewrite as y squared minus 3y is equal to 0. So, pwede yan. Lipat natin siya doon para mas mukha siyang quadratic equation. And from that, we can just do step number 5. So, ano yung step number 5? We'll just need to solve for this quadratic equation. So, yan sa space natin, we can do factoring. So, how do we do factoring for this one? This is our quadratic form already. Y squared minus 3y is equal to 0. So, we can factor out y as our GCF. So, y times y minus 3 is equal to 0. So, that's our factor them. Then, divide this by 2. So, we have y is equal to 0. Or that is our first value of y. Next is we'll be having y minus 3 is equal to 0. Then, we can add 3 for both sides. So, plus 3. Then, this will become equal to 0. So, our final value of y will be y is equal to positive 3. So, the solutions for this one, so the solutions are, or the possible solutions are 0 and 3. So, yan yung possible. Ibig sabihin, tatry pa natin. So, magkakaroon tayo ng extraneous solution kapag hindi siya nag-satisfy dito sa step number 6. So, in step number 6, check for extraneous root. So, gagamitin natin to equation na to. Then, we just need to substitute 0 and 3. So, unahin muna natin si x is equal to 0. So, ang gagawin natin, papalitan lang natin yung mga y natin ng 0. So, magiging 2 over 0 plus 1 plus 1 over 0 minus 1. Yan. So, ayusin natin. Equal ba siya kay 1? So, yun lang. Check lang natin kung tama siya after substituting. So, we have 2 over 1 plus, yan, this will be 0 over negative, 1 over negative 1. Is it equal to 1? Yan, di natin alam for this part. So, we have 2. Yan, 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. So, plus negative 1. Is it equal to 1? The answer is yes. So, pasok si 0 as our solution. Next, what if x is equal to positive 3? So, tingnan natin. Once again, we'll substitute it on the equation. 2 over 3 plus 1 plus 1 over, so palitan natin tong y minus 1. Gawin natin 3 minus 1. Is it equal to 1? So, tingnan natin. So, we have 2 over 4. Yan, kasi 3 plus 1 is 4. Then, 3 minus 1 is 2. So, 1 half. Is it equal to 1? Check natin. So, try natin. Kuhain natin lowest term nito. Magiging 1 half plus 1 half. Is it equal to 1? Siyempre, kalahati times plus kalahati, 1 half. So, the two solutions are correct. Okay, let's try to have another rational equation para mas maintindihan pa natin yung steps na sinusunod natin in solving this one. So, we have example number 2, and we have a given 8 over x equal to 2 over x minus 2 plus 1. So, from here, we'll do the same following steps. So, first step, we have to determine the values of the variable that is not permissible in the expression. So, this will be the values of x here that will make this denominator be equal to 0. So, ano yung una? Siyempre, obvious na. Yung unang restriction natin dito is x should not be equal to 0. No? Kapag 0 yan, denominator mo agad ay 0. So, it will make your equation undefined. So, another restriction could be we equate x minus 2 is equal to 0. So, plus 2 natin for both sides. So, x should not be equal to positive 2. Yan. So, yan yung mga values na restriction natin. Pag ito lumabas mamaya sa solution natin, extraneous solution agad sila. So, bakit 2? 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. Yan. So, that's step number 1. And step number 2, it says, determine the LCD of all the rational expressions. So, we have 8 over x and 2 over x minus 2 as our rational expression. So, ang gagawin natin, get the LCD. Sabi dun sa video, once again, we just need to get the product of the denominator for these kinds of rational equation. And so we have x times x minus 2 as our LCD. So, that will be our second step. Yan. Third step, ang sabi dyan is we have to multiply this LCD to both sides of the equation. So once again, yung step number 3 natin, ganito yung gagawin. We have to multiply each of the given term from the equation to x times x minus 2. So 8 over x. So we have to multiply this to x times x minus 2. Then we also have to multiply. Yan. So kopyahin lang natin si equals. Then 2 over x minus 2. We also have to multiply this with the LCD. So x times x minus 2. Then let's also copy plus 1 because we also have to multiply this with the LCD, which is x times x minus 2. So from that, by multiplying, we can first simplify by getting the canceling the following. So we have x, we can make this or reduce this to 1 because x divided by x is just 1. Then x minus 2 tsaka x minus 2, pwede siyang maging 1 because dividing them will give us just 1. And wala tayong magagawa dito. So we'll just copy this later. So from there, to furtherly multiply them, we can write it first. So ang natira dito is 8 tsaka x minus 2. So we'll have 8 times x minus 2. Yan, kahit hindi na natin susulat yung over 1 kasi denominator is 1 lang naman. So, dito naman ang natira natin is 2 and x. So, 2 times x plus, yan. So, for this, we'll just copy 1 times x minus 2. Yan. So, we will just multiply them by simplifying or by, I think we can have it as distributive property or distribute 8 from this one. And dito, multiply lang natin si 2 kay x. And dito, I think we can distribute this one as well. So from that, we can have here 8x. So that's 8 times x minus 16 because that's 8 times negative 2. So ito, magiging 2x na lang. That's 2 times x. Then plus, ito 1. So 1 times this expression will just be equal to the same. So, ito na lang yung pwede natin gawin. X times x is x squared. Then, x times negative 2 is negative 2x. And that is how we multiply by the use of our LCD. So, step number 4 na tayo. We will be having to simplify this given equation and make it a quadratic form. So from there, yan, simplify lang natin. Meron ba tayong pwede i-combine na similar terms? So dito, kopyahin ko lang kasi it's just 8x minus 16. Hindi naman sila similar. Dito sa right side, pwede natin i-combine si 2x minus 2x. So ang mangyayari dyan is it will become 0 na lang kasi 2x minus 2x is 0. So ang matitira dito is si x squared. Yan. So from there, we can transpose 8x minus 16 dun sa right side ng equation natin. Pwede natin ilipat using addition property of equality. So, tanggalin natin sila dito by subtracting 8x, then dito naman plus 16 para opposite ng sign nila. Then dito gawin natin minus 8x then plus 16 kasi equation sila. Then we'll try to add them. So, from there, we can have this one equal to 0 na to. Ito magiging 0 na din. Then we can have the equation 0 is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 16. And para mas maganda itsura, reflexive property of equality. So, pwede natin isulat daw na magkabaligtad. So, pwede natin isulat siya as x squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to 0. So, that's step number 4 because this is already our quadratic form. Yan. So, since it's already in the quadratic form, you can just do step number 5. Yan, step number 5, wherein we will solve this quadratic equation. So, step number 5, we can do factoring once again. So, ano yan? We'll be having factors having a product of 16 and a sum of negative 8. So ang factors niya is x minus 4 times x minus 4 is equal to 0. So equate natin ulit sila. X minus 4 is equal to x minus 4 is equal to 0 and x minus 4 is equal to 0. Since parehas lang sila, parehas lang din naman yung magiging sagot natin dyan. So add 4 for both of them. So add 4 for both sides of the equation. So we have the value of x as x is equal to positive 4. So isa lang. Parehas lang din naman sila. So as we write the solution for this given equation is, the solution is 4. Yan. So this is an example of one solution. 'Di ba? Nagkaroon tayo ng ganun sa example upon solving quadratic equation. So pwede na magkaroon tayo ng isa lang kasi parehas sila nung na-solve natin. And then for the final step of solving rational equation, we have to check kasi although hindi siya naging 0 tsaka positive 2, titignan pa rin natin kung magiging or masasatisfy niya yung rational equation na given natin. So yan. So all we need to do is to replace or substitute 4 on the values of x. So 8 over 4 is it equal to 2 over 4 minus 2. So pinalitan ko lang ng 4 yung mga x natin dito. Then plus 1. So 8 over 4. Yan, copyin lang natin yan. Then simplify natin to. 4 minus 2 is 2 plus 1. So are they equal? So titignan natin. Kung equal to, ibig sabihin, pasok as the solution si 4. So 8 divided by 4 or 8 over 4 is just 2. Is it equal to 2 divided by 2 which is 1 plus 1? Are they equal? Yes, 2 is equal to 2. So it satisfies the given rational equation. Therefore, the solution is 4. So wala tayong extraneous roots for these two given example. Okay, since you're done already with these two examples, this will be the last exercise that you'll be having. So you try having a rational equation to solve using a quadratic form. So transform once again this given equation into a quadratic form and solve for the unknown variable. So in this case, it's x. So 5 seconds to pause the video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I hope na-solve mo na siya. So from that, here are the possible solutions, negative 6 and positive 2. Then tingnan ko sa checking. Kung nag-checking ka, ito yung checking niya. So tama na sagot or equation C. Tama sa sagot si negative 6 and positive 2. So parehas silang solutions for this one. Yan. Okay, so from that, that's the third case and the end of the lesson as well. I hope you understand the lesson for today. Until next time, bye!